All right, I have a finger pointed at me that says we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expeditions Rome Stream 11. I will wait to hear that someone can hear me, and then we will get started. As always, the intro part is that one moment where I don't know if things are technically working. We see Brad, we hear Brad. Awesome. Everyone, it is great to see you. We are back at our remote studios, and I am back with Jonas. Hello, Jonas. How are you today?
Hello, Brad. I'm good, thank you. It's always good to be on the stream. We usually have fun.
It's always fun to have you. Yeah, it's we have a lot of different things we're gonna do today. Technically, we're gonna show some live gameplay again. So you're gonna see a map for the very first time. We're gonna show a new map. We have some Vikings keys that we're gonna be giving away. So if you've never played Expeditions Vikings before, we have 5 keys that we're gonna give away. Jonas and I were working on some of the questions right before the stream, so I hope you know your Roman. I mean, it's kind of Roman history. It's not quite, but there's some.
It's close enough. It's close
enough.
It's allowed, obviously.
Yep. So if you want to win some keys for some friends, or if you want to win them yourself, we have some keys to give away. We have a world premiere trailer we're showing today, so that's gonna be really fun. And we're talking about voiceovers and acting and character and all that kind of fun stuff. And because of that, we also have a little bit later a super special guest from our partners over at Pit Stop that did all of the VO recording and actor everything. It's a super exciting stream. We have so much. I don't even know if we can get it done in an hour. We're gonna do our best.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It was a lot of fun to see some new faces on the stream last week last stream with the music stuff. So yeah, I think it'll be very nice to have Josh on here as well.
Yeah. Last week's stream, or was it last week? I don't know. I've been traveling all around the world. It was 2 weeks ago, right? For a second, I thought the weeks had blended together so much that I kind of time traveled. And okay, yeah, the music stream was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously you can't go wrong with a soundtrack like that. But yeah, it was nice to bring some more people in who worked on the game and hear their perspective on things.
Absolutely. And you guys, we can't wait for you to play it. I'm going to tell you right now, we have a very exciting announcement coming up next week. So get ready. I think the announcement, I'm going to triple check my calendar. I can't tell you what the announcement is, but I can tell you that we're having a really exciting announcement coming up on the 7th. So next week on Tuesday. So for all those people who can't wait to play the game, that are excited about the game, keep your eye out on all of our social and channels on Tuesday next week on the 7th. As long as everything goes as planned, there's going to be some really cool information dropping, and we're gonna be having a lot of fun with all of you fans here as the next coming weeks and month or so goes by. So yeah, definitely get hyped, and we hope you guys are excited to win some Vikings keys, right? Like, who wants to win some Vikings keys? I hope that's gonna be a lot of fun too.
Absolutely. Good game.
So first off, let's get into the topic. So if you haven't read it, the Dev Diary is up on our community site, community.expeditionsseries.com. It's Dev Diary 11, and we're talking about the voiceovers. So it was kind of a special thing to actually get voiceovers into an Expeditions game at this scale, I imagine.
Yeah, the problem is we've never had the resources to do it. We've always wanted to have voiceover because it adds so much character, so much personality to the game. I touch on this a little bit in the Dev Diary as well, but one of the problems with a game this size, when you're just 1 or 2 people writing it, is there's only so much attention you can pay to the minor characters. You end up putting most of the attention on the major ones. But actors are able to come in and really delve into each role and add so much personality and their own interpretation to the role, which really fleshes it out and helps with that depth.
And we had a little bit of voice acting in Vikings, but this is just on a whole nother scale.
Yeah, Viking only had, I think it was the first line of dialogue for each of the companion characters, just to kind of set the tone. It's like a very old school way of doing it. And then all of the combat one-liners were also voiced, but it was only it was a minuscule amount of voiceover compared to what we recorded for Rome. And it's been very, very cool to be able to do the full thing and actually hear everything come to life the way that it has. Yeah.
Well, let's give away, I think, since we're talking about the previous games, we'll start the stream by giving away our first key. I think it's always fun to do that. And I think the first question is really appropriate for this. So whoever answers first, you're going to obviously communicate with Home24, who is our lovely community manager. Our first question for our first key giveaway is going to be how many games are there in the Expeditions franchise, including Rome. This should be a really easy one. So if you know how many games are on the franchise, you can get a key. Oh, see, Roof Castro got. Someone said 34. I'm gonna surf following that typo. I don't know. Do you want to make 34?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Line them up. I have many ideas.
So I think RUIF Castro, Roof Castro, you're the winner of the first key. Please message Home24 and or Home24 will message you and we'll get that first key. Awesome. So this by the way, this stat blows my mind. But there were 300,000 words in the script for Expedition Rome. 300,000, Jonas. Are you insane?
Yes. Or rather, I am incapable of limiting myself, and so is Fassi, and this was the problem. It's a lot for two people to write, I think, but
Yeah.
it's sort of on par with the other games. It's sort of, I don't know, it's where we naturally kind of end up. There must be something magical about that number. I believe that an average novel is somewhere between 70,000 and 120,000 words. So this is like 2 or 3 novels in one game.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot to record.
And now all of it is all of the characters are voiced, but not all 300,000 words are voiced, right? There's a little bit of separation.
That's right. The player character and the narrator are not voiced. So the narrator will only really appear, except for very few occasions, on the world map. So there'll be world map events, random events that you encounter as you travel through the world. They pop up in a special interface. And that's more like descriptive text of what happens, like a little choose your own adventure style thing that isn't voiced. And then the player character isn't voiced. And that's because we wanted to be able to use dynamic text in the player dialogue so that they could give their actual name instead of just using their title or whatever. And so that they can give commands, for example, to dynamically chosen characters that the game just picks randomly based on what's going on.
Awesome. Yeah, and by the way, in about 10 minutes, we're going to show brand new gameplay footage. We're going to be streaming some gameplay footage here in a little bit, and we're going to go through a map that we haven't shown live yet, and you're going to see some of that difference between, you know, when you're walking around or when you're talking to somebody and all. I mean, there's a lot of voice. The world's very alive, but then when you're having a dialogue and it's your character, I think I like that choice because it allows you to have your own fantasy of what kind of response you have. I actually remember there's a really cool talk from the RimWorld devs that talked about concepts like that, where they didn't want to add facial expressions in to the RimWorld characters because they didn't want the game to tell the player how to feel or how to react. And I think it's the same thing. Like, you have a voice in your mind's eye about how you sound because you're playing that role. And I mean, who are we to interpret that voice? I think it's nice that the world responds to you with the voice that we want, but you can imagine your own voice and kind of speak yourself, which is super cool.
I think that, like everything else in game development, there are pros and cons to every single decision, and what you lose in, you know, cinematic quality, you gain in player immersion, I think, or identification with the character.
I'd be curious for the people that are in chat, like, I mean, we made our choice already, but just out of curiosity, how many of you guys like having kind of the chance to, you know, have that own voice in your mind's eye versus having the game give a voice to a main character in a role-playing game? I've seen games take it both directions, and I'm curious, you know, when you're playing that character as you, like not just a cast of characters, but that character as you, would you rather have it voiced, or would you rather, you know, give it your own voice and just have the world have your voice? Curious what people think about that. So there are a lot of unique characters. I think the count that I saw in the dev diary was 270 unique characters.
That was the amount of character descriptions that I sent to Josh, yes, for the casting. It's quite a few.
Yeah. That sounds intimidating to do a casting process on.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you about that. It was fun for me because I didn't have to do that much of the work. I just got the options and I got to choose. But it's very interesting to participate in casting like that because it's like every single actor has their own interpretation of the role, and then you have to sit there and go, should you go for what you expect, or should you go for something that surprises you? Usually it's a little bit of both. For some characters, we go like, this is definitely the right character. Like I mentioned, Lucullus was just such a no-brainer. As soon as we heard that voice from the set, we were like, okay, there's no reason to listen any further. That's our guy. Other characters we cast against type because we heard something that we thought was a very interesting direction for the character that maybe we didn't expect, but that we liked quite a lot once we heard it. So yeah, it's really interesting to weigh those two things up against each other.
Yeah, and I mean, Sir Follick, you're right. It is a lot of characters. It was a fun experience. I think when we actually play gameplay, and we're going to do it in about 5 minutes or so, we're almost to that point in the script. But you'll see even in the walking around this one Rome streets area where all of these bit characters have their little moments. They all have unique voices, and they're voiced, in my opinion, beautifully. You'll get to see some really funny lines here in a few minutes from this gaming sequence we're going to show you. And I think that's part of that casting magic, because sometimes you have to find actors that can voice multiple characters, have a little bit of range, and then you have like your key characters, like you mentioned, when you find the person that you just love for that particular role. There's a lot of, I mean, to record that much, it's a lot to tackle. You have to kind of think about it that way.
Yeah, so not all of the characters you'll be hearing count as like unique voices. For generic people on the street, we'll be sharing the same voice for multiple characters as long as they're far enough from each other that you don't recognize it. So, of course, there's many, many more characters than 270. Those are just the specific unique voices that we chose. We want to avoid what a lot of games of this scope do, where you end up recognizing the same voices over and over again. That's also why the main characters usually just have one actor that's only doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Superkiller 77 or 777, welcome, and Burke and Onkin 16, welcome. So while we're talking here, the few people have responded back on the concept of the idea of whether you have a voiced main character or not. And I've seen both sides of the fence, and I can see why people have their different opinions. Virtuous Incognita makes a statement that I think really resonated with me when we were talking about this a couple years ago at the start, which is all about, when they played Mass Effect, they actually kind of disliked the Mass Effect character having a voice, because even though the acting was fantastic, I'm reading his or her line right now, I have to say that I prefer having the voice in my mind. Even though the voice actors were fantastic, it's just that what they were talking, I wouldn't put those words or that emotion. And I think we talked about that directly. It's like, I remember I'm a big self-proclaimed, beat all 3 Mass Effects, huge fan, 100% of them. I love Mass Effect. And I remember at moments being like, the tone of voice that Shepard would respond with wasn't the tone that I had in my mind when I was in that moment. And I think there's some power to being able to interpret that. And I think you and I had that conversation quite a bit in the beginning when we were scoping it out.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the pitfalls of voicing the main character, and some games solve it by letting you choose a voice. I've seen it very rarely in like massive AAA games of having multiple voices for the player character. But then to think like, but then is it gonna be the exact same words just said with a different voice or different accent? That's also a bit strange. So there's a lot of interesting pros and cons to consider when you make that kind of decision. I'm happy with the choice we made though.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna switch over to gameplay here in a second. By the way, welcome to a few new people I haven't seen before: Z Dark Paladin and Krone, or Kraune. Awesome to see some new people. So before we go into the gameplay footage, we're gonna show about maybe like 10 minutes. We have some stuff we're gonna show for voices. Why don't we give another Vikings key away? We got 5 of them. It's about time.
Yeah, let's shoot.
Okay. So this was gonna be an interesting question because it'd have to be people that are been paying attention to some of our streams. I'm wondering who's going to be able to get this. So there are 5 kind of key companion characters in the story. You see a few of them behind Jonas, but there are 5 of these main companion characters. I want to see who can name 2 of them. If you can give me 2 names. You see the ones behind Jonas, there's 5 of them. There's 4 of them right now. There's one that's not in our key art, so you got some visual QNs. But whoever can name 2 of the 5 companions, we will give a Viking key to. It's been in all of our marketing. We've talked about them a lot. Let's see who can maybe guess 2 of the 5 companions. I'll give it a second. I may just take it down to 1, but I want to start with 2 because we talk about them quite a bit. We'll give everyone a second to see if they can get one. See if anyone knows who's been paying attention to our companion characters.
Yeah, you can't use this question later once we've written the whole dev diary about it. So good timing on this question.
Old Man and Amazon. I mean, Metachow, that's close, but I don't know if Old Man and Amazon will cover it. All right, let's see if 1. Can anyone get 1? One of the companion characters, and we'll release a pigeon with a key around its neck. Man, you'd think the companion character. Oh, see right there. The Kashti got one of them right. So Beastia, and you can point to him, Jonas, if you want to.
He's right behind me. There he is.
There you go. Beastia, our gladiator, our former gladiator. Beastia is one of them. So that Kashti, congratulations. You got yourself a Viking key. A Home 24 will message you. See, Virtuous Incognito responds with 3 of them, or 2 of them right a little bit later, but I switched it down to 1, so slow typers. But there's still 3 more keys to give away. So congratulations to that Kashti for winning the key. Let's show some gameplay. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been looking forward to that. This is one of my
You
favorites.
want to show off the game? All right, I'll give my producer Alex a second, and we are going to show some world first content here. Wait, oh, my mouse is on the wrong computer. So once I see the screen update, I will load into the map, and then we will. I get thumbs up that the gameplay is showing. So let's. So oh, that's the UI, the beautiful UI, by the way.
Yeah, it's
Humble brag.
really great.
So set up what we're showing here. We're showing this is the Rome street. So this is in Rome itself after you've returned from I think the end of the Greece campaign, correct?
Yes, that's completely correct. Every time you've completed one of the campaigns, you get to do a little interlude in Rome where the threads are kind of tied up, and we set up the next campaign, and you get to explore this level freely. And we've just really put a lot of work into making it come alive with characters having little overheard conversations you can trigger. There's merchants to talk to. There's familiar faces from your campaigns that you can meet, and of course many side quests.
Hopefully everything is streaming okay. It looks like it is. So let's walk up here, and everyone can tell me if the audio is working well. There's an initial comment. So as you're walking around these kind of maps, especially when you're in exploration, like people talk all the time, so you get a lot of cool dialogue in the story mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and walk up here, and we'll do this first one here.
It was the most unbelievable and bold political maneuver I've ever witnessed.
I still don't understand. To kill one's family is the worst act imaginable. He is obligated to defend his family, even against the law.
Yet he seems to have turned it to an advantage. The people praise his selfless devotion to our law and justice and to our republic.
It makes no sense at all.
So they're actually talking about stuff that's going on in the story right now, I believe, right? This is more dynamic.
Yeah, this is a reaction to the previous main quest that you just participated in. So a lot of the
News from
dialogue
Greece.
responds to what you.
The army of Consul Lucius Licinius Lucullus
That's
is
the same thing.
recently
This guy's
returned
talking about what
following
you
its
just
victory
finished
against
over.
the enemy of Rome,
Yeah.
Mithridates Megas. A triumph has been granted by the Senate to the victorious Imperator and will take place on the calends of next month. All Romans are asked to attend.
Which I think is cool because we have a blend of some of that organic dialogue that happens responding to the things that you've done, so you get that kind of immersion effect. But then you also have moments like this. I love this. This is Jonas specifically wanted everyone to experience this one. This is great. You guys, if you're talking.
This is the place. This is where my statue will be erected.
Well chosen, Domine.
We'll have to get rid of this hideous pavilion, of course.
Of course, Domine.
And that column. My statue will have to be taller than the column.
Why not just have the column destroyed, Domine?
Brilliant idea. Write that down.
Oh. At once, Domine.
I love the delivery on that.
That guy could care less about his spoiled Domine wanting to build this massive statue. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the voiceover really elevates
A fine
the script,
reward
right?
is
Like I had
offered for
fun
the
writing
return
that
of a horse
conversation, but I didn't know
stolen
how
from
this
the
was gonna
stables
turn
of
out. Like, I thought I was
Proculus
writing something funny,
Sinicius
but then the delivery of the actors really sold it. I think that's what makes it so funny.
Yeah, I love it. And that's just one of those things where, like, to me, it's what makes role-playing games the most fun, is where you have all these moments that are both about the story, but also about the world and characters, and they feel organic. And I mean, I think we were talking before this kicked off, and it's like you guys had so much fun just sprinkling these little moments in. So when you play the game, it's just everything is responding and active, and it's very immersive.
I think it also really speaks to the quality of Pit Stop's
Clean
directing
linen
that
for bandages,
those two actors
fresh
weren't
medicinal
even in the same
herbs.
place recording at the same time. So probably one of them didn't even know what he was responding to, but they still nailed the delivery on that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I think.
Also, I love the visual too. It's a really cool looking map for like the Roman cityscape.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite levels.
It is
And
good the
obviously,
Smith
it's not
Sextus
like this
returned from the war.
marble,
I've missed his
whitewashed
work
kind of
greatly.
visage that you
He's
might
working on
imagine,
new
but
locks
I
for
think
me
this is a
already.
lot more historically
I've been asked to change all the
authentic.
locks in my Dominus's villa.
Yeah, and they're talking about Sextus right there, which I think we showed in the outpost. So if you guys remember, and this is just how things link together, right? So when you're out there in the game, you have your kind of place where all of the your war camp, where all your Praetorians are, and kind of where you do a lot of the metagame management. And one of the characters in there that we showed in the previous stream was Sextus, who does all the crafting stuff for you, right?
Yeah, he's the blacksmith of the Legion who helps you interface with the crafting system most of the time, and he also plays an important part in a lot of the quests. And now that you're back in Rome and you're a civilian, you can actually run into him and he'll recognize you, and there's a little thing you can get from him. So I think that
I think it's so cool. Like you're walking and it kind of brings the I guess the depth of the experience to life, because you have your war personality and Sextus is making stuff for you, and then you're walking along and someone's like, oh yeah, Sextus is making locks for me. And then as you keep on going up here, you actually run into him and can talk to him, and he has a whole different kind of dialogue sequence and personality being in Rome.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know, it just adds that layer to it.
Yeah, we really had fun with
You've
that
sent
kind
the
of thing.
birds to shit on my stall.
Are you out of your mind?
Right, this
You
one.
think I can command the birds?
They only shit on my crates, never on yours.
What difference does it make? Your crates are already full of shit.
Was that yours or Fosse's line? I have to ask. Was that, who wrote that one?
That was me as well. And
That was you?
and great
You're the
delivery.
snarky one. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, if you walk a little bit down the street, we can meet Sextus and see how he responds to us when we're no longer his superior.
Oh, there he is, a little stall there.
So you found me again. But you're a civilian now. Here you are, just another customer in my smithy.
And there we go about, hey, Kuranakai, how you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, you can see some of the different options here we talked about. This is kind of how that thing works, where you hear the characters respond to you, but then you get to choose what you say. So I like my favorite grumpy old Iron
Only
Pounder.
because you've never met any of my competitors, I'm sure. I don't suppose you're in the market for some carpentry tools?
All right, let's do you not make arms and armorers anymore?
There is no market for such tools in peacetime. And of course, weapons are not allowed inside the pomerium. Tell you what, I do have something here you might be interested in. Have you ever heard the legend of the Ancillary? Well, it just so happens I have come into possession of one of the replicas created by Numa Pompilius.
This is
I think this is a cool. Yeah, you can say.
yeah, this is an actual historical artifact that are in the legends of Rome, of these 12 shields that were built by the second king of Rome, I think, after the shield of Mars dropped from the sky. So we have a lot of these little nods to mythology. You're buying one of the 11 replicas, so probably not the actual shield that fell from heaven, but well, who knows? It's still a very good shield.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is another. People have asked us before about like how the Expedition series brings historical elements to life. You know, it is not a historically accurate game. We're not trying to make real history, but there's a lot of elements that we use to make this kind of alternate version of history, or I guess our interpretation of history, come to life. And I mean, from moment one, you're splintering off from what anything was done in the real world, but we've taken a lot of these kind of things, like these shields that existed, or these items, or even these places or characters. There's a lot of real world characters you meet that we give voice to, both from the VO perspective and also just in the story, to help ground our fantasy, the story that we're telling in the world. And I don't know. It's, to me, when I first played some of these moments, it's super cool to see those little tidbits in there, and I'm sure some bands are going to go through and extract like all the different little things that we've done. It I don't know. It makes the game feel authentic.
It's one of the more interesting challenges of casting for specifically this series is some of these people were actual people in real life, and you have to think about both what is our take on those people based on what we know from history, how do other people probably imagine them. There's like weighing off someone like Cleopatra, which I think we'll talk about with Josh as well. How much do you put your own spin on that, and how much do you just give people that sort of, she's almost like an icon, right? So that's a really interesting casting challenge, I think.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do some more key giveaways. I saw someone's here for some keys, so we have still 3 more to give away. I'm going to go ahead and come out of the game, and we're going to bring Josh from Pit Stop on and talk about the unique challenges of that. So, Jonas, we'll bring you back here in a little bit near the end, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
And in a second, I'm going to get a thumbs up from my fantastic producer, Alex, that we have Josh joining us here on the stream. I got a thumbs up. So, Josh, welcome to Expeditions Rome's live streams. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to see the game all coming together very nicely.
Yeah, you were. I think before the stream we were doing kind of prep. You had that moment. Like, sometimes you, in your role, you don't always see the game and as it's going these different stages of development. So I mean, isn't it kind of crazy seeing all this finally coming to life?
It is. It makes all the effort that you go into recording, we're seeing it all glued together, really very satisfying. But then there's always that moment when you do start seeing the first streams, you're waiting for the one line where you wish you could have got another take on it at the time. But the nature of the beast with these, so far, so good. So that's all.
Yeah.
But
So, we're already jumping right into the talk. Why don't you introduce yourself? So I know you're from Pit Stop, who's a really valuable partner of ours, and your company Pit Stop specializes in voice acting and recording and everything. But why don't you tell us about yourself and kind of introduce yourself to the community?
Cool. Well, hi, my name's Josh Whedon. I am the lead voice and casting director for Pit Stop Productions. Have been for about 6 years now. So head office is up north, but our main studio's down in London, England, because as it turns out, that's where most of the actors live. So they had to get their own stuff and they're involved.
So let's first start off. We were talking before about Jonas, about how massive this project is. I mean, with such a huge casting list and so much dialogue, that has to be kind of like, oh man, we're tackling a beast.
Well, I like the challenge of the more wordy projects as they come in, especially with this. So like 300,000 words is a big old challenge to get your head around. And breaking it down led to a cast of about 55, I think, in total. But what that generally means is that people like Jonas and Fassi have created a really detailed world, and they've really added that depth and character to it, which means that it's way more fun as a director to get stuck in.
Yeah. So I mean, what is the casting process like for a game? Like, I mean, you do so many different games, but we have this range of character, and I mean, we also had some pretty specific requirements and quality tiers we were shooting for. I mean, I have to imagine it's a really involved process. How do you approach that?
Well, it starts off primarily by talking to the writers and producers to understand what the general feel, tone, and themes of the game are. Once you've got that established, that's the benchmark. So having lots of conversations with Jonas and Fassi about what the style of the script that they're giving us to work with is. After that, it's a case of identifying who are key main players, those who are untouchable. They will be one actor and one voice only. Then, once again, lots more talking and emails back and forth about establishing writing casting packs, getting the feel for the characters, picking demo lines that acts in that, sending it out to all the agents. Then it's everyone else, which is when it gets a little bit more sticky because, there's 270 characters, only 5 of them only have one voice. It's a case of breaking them down into groups to ensure that they don't speak to each other, but at the same point, there's enough variety and that we can use our cast effectively. So then it's a case of writing more generic packs for different races and situations. They go out as well. And then after the conversations that we've had at the top to establish style and tone, see which actor's instinct naturally leans towards that, who gives us, and then from there we can create our final cast and assign. It takes about a couple weeks, top to tail, to break it down, and some late nights, many Excel spreadsheets, a little bit of crying, but it all comes through.
Yeah, a little bit of crying. I see the Koshti responded saying that you have a voice that maybe you do voice acting yourself. I'll tell you, I've been on a lot of projects with Josh already in the couple of years we've known each other, and doing different castings and trailers and recording sessions. And when he gets into those recording sessions, trying to pull from the actors those moments, he has his own voice acting approach. Like he makes some scenes happen for sure. Oh shoot, did we just lose Josh and his internet? Oh no. Let's hope he comes back. I think Josh just froze. See, this is what happens when you have internet and stuff. Yeah, I think your internet just see, we got him, and it worked all through pre-production, and then Josh is frozen, and now I'm sitting here on my own. So I guess we will wait to see if we get Josh back here, and I guess we'll bring Jonas back, and we'll just keep on going and see if Josh's internet recovers.
Oh, I feel like
So let me.
I feel like a poor replacement for Josh.
Yeah, I know. If for some reason we can't get him back, we'll try to find a time to bring Josh back for another stream. There's still a lot that I want to dive in with him about. I mean, there was a lot of unique castings that we had to do for this project that were very, very challenging and fun, complex. And I think one of the ones that I was going to talk to Josh about was, how we had to cast Julia Kalida, who was a very unique character, and that was one that we actually, I think, went through like 3 different iterations on trying to get that right.
Yeah, she was really challenging. I'm not sure how much I should get into why, because it gets spoilery. What's with the face?
Oh no, he's fine. Keep going.
Okay. But she's a very nuanced character. She has a lot of complexity to her, and she sort of needs to be a couple of different characters in one. On top of that, we even pulled a couple of curveballs on her, getting her to do different accents that she wasn't really familiar with before and such. So it was really, really important to us to get that voice completely right. And I think narrowing in what exact kind of character we were looking for, because the tendency is to just find a sexy girl, but that wasn't really at all what we were aiming for. So there were a few different iterations on the casting process for her.
Yeah, and the actress we ended up getting at the end, Rosie Jones, just did a fantastic job. I remember when we get, like, the way it works, you get like a folder with all of these different characters dropped in, and I remember when her recording came in, you're just like, wow, what a really cool. See, producer Alex in the background is frantically trying to get Josh reframed. I think his camera just turned back on, but it's all good. But yeah, it was really interesting seeing all of that come together, and like all the different interpretations of her character in those lines, and then Rosie's read was just incredible.
Yeah, she was great. She did a fantastic job.
So while we're waiting for all this stuff to get squared away, why don't we give another key? I mean, we got Alex doing his thing, and we might as well give away a key. So who wants to get an Expeditions Viking key? Hopefully you know a little bit of your Rome trivia. The next questions, whoever answers this first, is going to be. And I'm curious if anyone knows this. I know Rome history files, but what? And I think I asked you the exact way to describe this, but it's the throwing spear that was used in Rome era. This Rome throwing spear. What was that called? It's a very authentic weapon. It was used very commonly. If anyone can name the famous Rome throwing spear, you will get yourselves an Expeditions Viking key. I imagine some people are frantically going to Google to see if they can. Oh, see,
cheating.
Virtuous Incognita. He knew that one. He or she knew that one right away. It was like Far Flames and Karen Akai knew it too. Don't worry, we have 2 more keys to give away, so you're not out of chances. So Virtuous Incognita, that's correct. It's a phylum. It's the throwing spear. We actually have it in the game as a tactical item, I believe. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So you have a certain number of uses for it. Obviously, you throw a spear and it's gone, but you can always come back to camp to replenish it using common materials.
Awesome. Well, Virtuous Incognita, congratulations on your Expeditions Vikings key. Home 24 should message you and get that signed up. I see Josh moving around down there. I think we have him back. So we're going to pull Josh back here, and we have a special trailer to show you. We were going to sequence into this a little bit more gracefully, but you know what? It's a live stream. You never know what's going to happen. You know, I love that part of this whole thing. It's why we do it. It's fun. If you can't do live TV or live streaming, then, you don't have you got to have thicker skin. I love it. So, Josh, welcome back.
Thanks very much indeed.
We are about to show a really special trailer to you guys. We actually made this trailer quite a bit ago. It was with our partners over with Josh and Pitstop. We had a couple of the voice actors come in and had a moment to chat with them about the recording process. It was a really cool opportunity. And Josh, can you why don't you go ahead and give the names of 2 voice actors, because I know you know how to pronounce them better than I do.
Well, for this one, it was Scott Joseph and Harayanis, I believe.
So I probably could have prepped you on that. No, it was Stephen, right? Stephen Cornicard, if I can pronounce his name correctly.
Oh, that trailer. Yeah, sorry, Stephen Cornicard and Lano, this one. Yeah.
Lara Swahala. So, 2 very talented people. They voice Cineros and Cleopatra and we have a really beautiful video that kind of highlights them and their work. So get ready. We're going to show it right now. This is the Rome Voices trailer, and this will be going up on YouTube either later today or tomorrow, but we're going to show it here as a world first. So please enjoy the Rome Voices trailer now.
Calada, you make my sisters look like delicate flowers. Can't wait to meet them. That would be thing of legend.
I've done a lot of video games, really, literally. I've started working in video games when they started to speak. And the joy about this one was the fact that we had two key people helping us during the sessions. So we had Jonas, who is the creative director, and we had Farsi, the lead narrative designer. And both of them were so present and so involved and so, I mean, precise about all the research that they did in order to create a game that was not only entertaining but also
factually correct.
Yeah, factually correct. You know, and sort of, and with multi dimensions to each character. Like, for example, Cleopatra is not the cliche that history has presented her as so often.
The best of Egyptian carpets are sold in Memphis. It is, of course, a bit far away, but your efforts will show me how much you value our alliance.
You haven't got just one arc. What you've got is several arcs, because, of course, depending on what the player decides to do, our lives will change.
The one thing I loved about recording Cleopatra was the fact that I had these two sides, and the player could choose actually what part of Cleopatra they wanted to come out. So if they wanted sort of her anger side, or if they wanted her lovemaking romantic side. And I think that was super fun to record.
The cat goddess. She is greatly revered among the people. How has my blithering fool of a husband offended you, dear?
One of the things that I found really, really interesting is that there's a whole section of the game where we sort of explore the various philosophies of the Greek world, and so you've got the Stoics, the Epicureans, you've got, and all these are represented and discussed throughout the game as a sort of almost like riddles. What would you do if? And then the choices are then explained according to the various philosophies. And I thought, this is the first time I see something like this in a game, where you get to explore the choices with regards to what philosophy or who your master is, as it were. And I thought that was that was a clever bit of writing there.
Winemaking is not an exact science. We do follow recipes, but we are subject to the whims of Dionysus. Every now and then he favors you, and you may produce a wine of this caliber.
One of my pet hates is when we've been recording for a while on a character and we've got to say goodbye. And I know the character keeps on living, and you're going to be playing with them, but we don't get to be them anymore.
We have to cut it.
And we've got
you
to
have to sever the line. And say goodbye. And farewell.
And farewell. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but personally, I do hope that you enjoy playing us as much as we've enjoyed playing them.
Yeah, enjoy the game. And thank you.
Thank you, and don't forget to love Cleopatra as much as I do.
All right. So I love that video. I think it's a really, really cool opportunity to highlight some of the great talent that went to making this game and bringing the voices to life. I saw someone's Farflame CZ said that when they first saw Laura in the video, they thought that she looked like Deianira, and thought that maybe she voiced that character too. She just did Cleopatra, I think, right? That was her only role.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
I love both. I mean, Cineros, I remember that was but both of them were just incredibly talented. So awesome to have them on the project. And I mean, Steven's been around in game voice acting for forever. I think he's been doing it for what, like 20, 30 years, something crazy like that. Like he's a very famous voice in the game making.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Stephen's had a very, very illustrious career, but generally ends up playing towards villains. And so he jumped on board at the opportunity to actually have this chance to play something more of a supportive hero character. And he loved the history, loved the world, and so really dived in with 2 feet, which was great.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was often a villain character. That's so intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lovely presence which can naturally menace. Which, I mean, his character in this does have like that kind of element to him, but it's almost like that was in his past. Now he's become a more supportive man, and so yeah, really fun to play with those colors.
That's so funny because I mean, like Cineros is that kind of like a servitus, right? He's kind of a service to the family, so he has a little bit of a subservience to him, but he also has a little bit of like, I mean, he kind of raised you a little bit. So every once in a while, he may give you a little smacky smack talk, like, "Hey, man, like, don't be like I raised you. Don't be a bad person." I think that maybe where that menace maybe comes in a little bit from his voice.
He's our game's Alfred. That's the way that we're sort of viewing it.
So that's a good way to put it, right? He's oh, great. I don't know if we want to compare. I see Jonas just laughing on the side. You guys can't see his face. He's just chuckling. He's like, we didn't mean to write Alfred, but maybe that's kind of what it turned into. So,
well, you should see the death threats he's sending me for making one of his characters a Batman reference. So, you know, there's that.
Oh, it's amazing. So this video is going to be on our YouTube channel. I know I heard that there may have been some audio out of sync. I think it may have been because of the whole juggling we had to do during the technical issues, but it'll go up on YouTube and you can watch it in all of its glory. And it's a really special video. Shout outs to both Stephen and Laura for lending their time to help us make that, and hopefully give some credit where credit's due to the incredible talent and staff there. So we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and I want to circle back in on the topic to get your kind of thoughts on it, because some of the roles were really easy to cast. Like, you casted it, got to read. Like, I think Cineros was one of those. We heard Stephen, we're like, yep, that's it. That's our Alfred. That's our... Stop making that reference before you kills me. That's our Cineros, and it's great. But then there were some more challenging, and I think we were talking about Julia Calida, and we ended up having to do multiple. I remember like the first round came in, and we just responded back and said nope. Like, and we had a good chunky list of people. None of them worked. What is that process like for you when you have a role that's more challenging to get the right voice?
Well, in terms of Julia, I mean, it's a very specific. I'm going to say Julia. It's a very specific brief, which the instinct naturally, especially when working in video game an awful lot, is, like you said earlier, sort of to lean towards almost sexy, but that's not her. She's a fighter first. And it was the case, and then also had that ability to mimic, the need to play male in order to survive in this world. So it's a case of that's a skill which is hard to find amongst talented actors. But from previous experience and having worked with her, we know Rosie has got an incredible range and can play boys and children and men. And so giving her this opportunity to actually explore that as well, this grander role, just seemed like the perfect fit once we finally landed on her after going through various iterations. So,
yeah, I feel like, I don't want to say, it's not quite smoky, but there is like a graveliness, depth to her voice that allows you to do a lot with it. And I felt the way she jumped into the character and read those different moments, it really did play that line between, I mean, she has a complex past, and when you play the game, you'll learn about that, which is super cool. But she also has some really interesting, ranges to the fact that she can be angry, she can be emotional, she has a lot of dynamics there. So it's quite cool.
What was really fun, especially with her part, was those moments where she initially, once you've sort of established her as this, grand warrior that you're going to be traveling with, it's later on when, am I allowed to say she softens slightly, and it's her exploring that side of her personality more. And that's when you can really sort of play with character, to see someone uncomfortable in the role, but, as part of the character that they're playing. Yeah.
And DGS Ma69, I don't know how you want to pronounce your name, but he's asking if your character's voice. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the stream, so no worries, you joined. But no, we actually made a very specific decision. That's right, DJ Isma. I remember that from the previous stream. I apologize. The guy or girl that spins the tunes, Isma. We decided not to voice the main character specifically because we wanted to allow you to have that emotion and connect with your character for that specific reason. So all the other characters you interact with their voice, but your character is not. I think that it's a unique challenge when it comes to finding those characters that match right. Another really interesting challenge with this massive script is that it was and I slaughter these. I can't even pronounce people's Twitch names right. So I mean, I slaughter words all the time, and there's a lot of Latin in the script. And
Yeah, there is.
We even pronounced one of the main characters' names wrong for like 2 years. We called Cineros. We called him Cineros for a long time, and his actual pronunciation is Cineros. So we pronounced that wrong I kind of got it close, I guess. So I think it's quite interesting to see how that came to life, to get everyone to pronounce all the words correctly.
Well, luckily we had an awful lot of help. Jonas and Fashi realizing that they wanted to do Latin, which is fine, but then classical Latin, not the Latin which we use sort of casually in everyday conversation, meant that they brought in, first and foremost, a scholar who gave us a very large folder of pronunciations and also some very strict rules that we had to stick to. I mean, we work in game exclusively and therefore work in fantasy games an awful lot. So we deal with nonsense languages all the time. With this, it was really tricky because you think you know what it is, but then it's teaching yourself to always, I'm just going to double check, just because I get the impression that I might be, and then luckily reverting to a very angry folder for guides. And then much slower.
I know that a big thanks out to that Latin professor. Maybe Jonas can drop him when he comes back on. But it was a really, really cool opportunity to get someone to come in and coach us and provide all that guidance, that we get the pronunciation as correct as we can. Now I get to be the punk that slaughters them during all of our marketing efforts, and Jonas sometimes helps correct me, and I try to have been disciplined, but it's still, I mean, the actors, I think, did a great job of capturing those, bringing them to life. So that's really cool. So we do have 2 more keys we're going to be giving away. I think I'm going to give away one right now, since we're talking about Romany stuff. So this one should be hopefully not too bad. Jonas thought that most people would get this one. It is going to, so whoever can get the answer right first, and I see my chat scroll is a little bit wacky, so I'll make sure I get the right person there. So for Expeditions Vikings key, drum roll, the question is, which animal is commonly associated with the Roman army or Rome? Like, what is the main animal or emblem of Rome from an animal perspective? And let's see if whoever can get that right. It's no, I wish it was DJ Isma, but lion is not the right answer. There are 2 answers that I would take. There are 2 answers that I would consider. Okay, so Depot Park responded, and so some people have already won keys before. Okay, yeah, I mean, so Depot Park, I think you've won a key before, Depot Park, if I'm correctly. So I'm gonna give this to Kurin Akai. Kurin Akai, that's correct. Eagle is the emblem of Rome. You see it on all of their stuff. They love the eagle, and it's there was actually, I think, a movie titled Eagle of Rome or something like that, where it was about trying to find this eagle emblem or coin or something. I can't exactly remember, but yeah, that's it. It's the eagle. The other answer we would have accepted is the wolf, because wolves of Rome are also a big deal. But eagle it is. So Kurin Akai, you won a free Expeditions Vikings key. So you can reach out to Home24, or Home24 will reach out to you and give you that key. Vikings is a great game. I think the Jonas team did an awesome job with it. So a chance to kind of experiment with that a little bit ahead of Rome's release. And I think we have a couple more things we're going to go over, but let's go ahead and bring Jonas back on, and all 3 of us will kind of talk together, and we'll chat for the last 10 minutes here. One of the last things I want to talk to you about, I think this does involve all of you. Oh, thank you, Virtuous. That's right. Eagle of the Ninth Legion. That was the movie I was thinking about. I've watched like 30% of it. It was okay. It had some cool scenes in it. So the last question I had for Josh, and I think I'm going to throw this to both of you. I mean, recording that much dialogue, Jonas, you didn't sit on every recording session, did you?
No. Ain't nobody got time for that. I was.
And Josh, I don't think you sat in every recording session, did you?
I couldn't. There were too many. There was too much to do. We had to divide it between 3 studios with a team of 5 directors in the end. Would have been if possible, but yeah, too much for one man.
So we at times we had we had different studios running in parallel. We had like multiple recordings happening in different rooms with different actors, different directors. It's just extraordinary.
Well, I mean, between that and also then with COVID restrictions and safety as well, we had our 2 studios in-house and then remote studios on top of that as well. And then it was a case of Jonas and Fasti having to choose where they go specifically for certain bits. But luckily we had everyone so up to par and all singing off the same hymn sheet, which meant that it could all happen at once without, but all come together with the same style and tone. So that was good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I remember. I think it was in July or June. I think you sent me the email, Josh, where it's like, "Hey, we may need to go to 3 studios because 2 may not be enough. Like, we're trying to get all this stuff in, but we need to get going a little faster." And I'm like, "My goodness, like that's a lot of directing."
it keeps you off the streets, and that's the main thing. So,
what was your? So I'm gonna ask both of you this question, but we'll start with Josh. Like, what was your favorite? And this is maybe a question in general because of what you like about your job, but maybe Rome specifically. What was your favorite part about the whole process?
Personally, for me, there's a moment in a project, especially, and it happened like very lovely with this one as in mind, where once you've done all the pre-production, you generally have like a first couple weeks of recording where they're still putting out fires as everyone's still trying to find their feet, but there's a moment when you just realize that everything locks and all the cast know what they're doing, all the directors know what they're doing, and suddenly you're just listening to files as they come in or taking your own sessions, and everyone's got it so in hand and we're all in the same goal, and that's when sort of the pressure slightly drops apart from the massive incoming word count, but it means that everything's just, it's heading in the right direction. You can just steer the ship home, and that's beautiful for me.
Yeah. By the way, Jonas, DJ Isma is saying that the Romans use the lion symbol a lot too. I know that
Sure, but it's not the most iconic of the Roman animals. Sure. I mean, the different legions had different mascot animals sometimes.
I think DJ Isma, if they make the lions of the 7th Legion, I'll personally give you another key. But I think the eagle is the main one, right? It represented power too, though. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, lions are cool. So, Jonas, same question to you. Like, what was your favorite part of the whole process?
I think it was just a lot of fun to hang on that call with the studio and listen to the actors interpret the roles. And I think the most sort of memorable moments were when the actors got the character so well that they would actually start like almost correcting the director or sort of I wouldn't say arguing with them, but like the director would give direction and the actor would occasionally go like, no, it's because this is what I'm thinking or this is what I'm feeling. Like it would occasionally happen. You would go like, okay, now they're really in character. Like now they really got into it. And I think that a lot of the time you sit there going like, yeah, I guess that is what I was thinking when I was writing this line. Yeah, good job. It's very cool. Very cool to get that extra angle on it.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think it's interesting that we get the when actors get so into I mean, they're reading this, they're getting into that. Some of them method actors, they start getting into the history and the emotions of the character. And once they've gotten that, you get those moments where it's like, well, I don't know if my character would say it this way. I don't know if this is how they would feel at this moment. And especially with a lot of the characters. And I don't want to try to embarrass you with too many compliments or anything, but I think the characters are very 3-dimensional and very well written. So you get a lot of those moments where, you do need to bring that forward and let them have a moment to figure out what the character is experiencing. Especially if we were talking about Julia. Julia goes through a lot. You'll find out when you play the game. Definitely play it if you want to know more about her. But I mean, all of them, I guess. But I mean, she goes through a lot of things in her life. And that complexity comes out in a lot of different moments where I remember there's one specific line that we were working on in the casting. And it's like, she shouldn't read it this way because this is complex for her. And we need someone that can dive into the emotional complexity and not deliver it soft and not deliver it angry, deliver it conflicted, because that's what she would feel right now, we think. And to your point, when the actors got that deep into it and you started getting those deliveries, that's when everything just sings, right? That's where the magic happens. And I think we got a lot of that in Rome.
There was even a line that we cut from Julia's script because actually both the actress and the director just thought this was a bad line. And I was on the call and they were like, let's cut this line. And it was one of the AI bugs where it's like, I have to find 10 different ways to say, I made a critical hit or something. So I just spammed some stuff out and then sure, one of them was very bad. We cut that one and yeah, it's nice to have that kind of extra layer of quality control in a way on it.
That's amazing. I love it.
it's quite pleasant as well when, especially when you've got like a story which arcs throughout the entire game. Where I remember doing like sessions with Kaezo where a scene that we referenced, like Act 2, there's a similar situation or something which would clearly affect him now near the end of the title, and just being able to put on the actor to spot it and then draw on that to inform his performance later on in the game to show that growth is just, those kind of moments are really lovely. They're small and chewy, but when they come up, it's great to grab hold of them.
There's going to be a moment after the game comes out where we can talk a little bit more spoilery, and I'm kind of looking forward to that because there's some things about the characters and the voice acting and the depth that we can't comment on because of it main part. I mean, it's a 70, 60 hour story. There's a lot to go through. But once we can have those conversations with all you, there's some moments in how those character arcs go that were just super fun to mess with, and the voicing and the performance to get those arcs coming through. So that's super awesome. We have one more key to give away. So I'm gonna do that now. So this is your last chance to grab a key for this stream. I'll be doing more key giveaways for the streams, and you're going to be seeing us every 2 weeks. So we're off next week, but we're back the week after that. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. I wanted to mention again, everyone that's excited about Rome, please tune in next week on Tuesday. Not to our stream. We're going to be streaming in 2 weeks, but we're going to have a big announcement on Tuesday. We're going to have some cool stuff coming out. So watch our social. Put it on your calendars. Tuesday is a big day for us. And we'll be back here in a few weeks. I can't remember. Our next dev stream, I think, is a surprise. Wait. Oh, Home 24. You missed the last two winners. Well, I can scroll up. One was Kieran Akai. Kieran won the animal question. And the one before that was Virtuous Incognita, I think, won the phylum question. So I think those are the two last winners if you didn't get. So Virtual Akai and Virtuous Incognita, and there we go. Perfect. Awesome. Fixed. So we got one more to go. This last one's should be super easy, I would hope. DJ Isma, I wait till there's going to be an announcement next week. I promise you, you'll be happy. Just wait 1 week. 1 week. So number 5, what's the name of a good question for the last key? What's the name of the defensive formation often used in Rome? Shown in a bunch of movies. It's ironic because we actually don't have it much in the game because of the way the game works. Still, it's kind of there. Kind of do it. What is the name of that defensive formation for the last key?
We do have it.
We do have it.
We found a way to.
Oh, see, people are saying turtle, but that's not it.
I mean, yes, but
you want to give that to turtle?
That's a name.
Do you want to give it to turtle? We could.
Sure.
We'll give it to turtle. It is not the Latin. We'll give it. The actual name is Testudo. And Virtuous, you keep on responding to questions you already got a key for. So the problem is everyone said turtle or tortoise, and then Virtuous, who already got a key, says the right answer. Like, well, okay, I can't. The key is for Vikings. We're not giving away Rome keys yet. We will give away Rome keys at some point in time, but not yet. So, Farflame CZ, you won a key for Expeditions Vikings. So please reach out to Home24, Farflame CZ, and get your wonderful key. And we're gonna be giving a few more keys away in 2 weeks. So tune in for then. And by the way, DJ Isma, I'm excited as you are. So I understand eagerness to get more big information about Rome. Tune in on the 7th. You'll hear quite a lot of stuff. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today on the stream.
Thank you very much for having me. Sorry that everything died on this side.
It was really great.
You know what? You can't control the series of tubes sometimes, Josh. It's just the way it is.
It's the badger under the desk. I should have replaced him years ago. It's a shame. So.
By the way, someone was saying that we should have planted ourselves in as Easter eggs. The 3 of us should have voiced like a couple of characters and like stuck some lines in.
Definitely would have been up for that anytime. Yeah.
Jonas says no. Everyone wants Jonas.
You don't want to hear my Danish accent.
There's a market stall guy waiting for you, Jonas. The part is there if you want it.
Maybe we'll do like a special free DLC Jonas and Brad voice pack. And we'll like
terrible idea.
No?
Terrible idea.
Terrible idea. I love it.
It would answer the unvoiced protagonist option. I'm just saying.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That's
there we go.
100,000 words of dialogue or something.
Oh man, we are gonna
that's a
have
drink
to
that will
make
get
like,
thin very quick. So
we're gonna have to make some like really cheesy video sequence where like Jonas and I both have to read some on stream or on like some pre-recorded thing, like a couple of the character lines, and try to act it with our own emotion or something. We can have Josh direct us during the whole thing, so turn it this whole pretend like VO session, and we have to like deliver it, and he tells us to punch it up more or whatever. What's the thing you always say like during like someone's like imagine you're being hit through the chest or whatever, like you give like the stage direction. Oh man.
Yeah. I need to feel it in your heart. Come on. Stop saying it. You feel it.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, also, Jonas, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks. Nice being here.
And we will be showing more gameplay off in 2 weeks. So not this next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. So mark your calendars again. Tune in on Tuesday next week on the 7th for some special announcement stuff on our social channels. You can follow us on Discord, on Twitter, on Facebook. We got stuff all over the place. Check out the Voices trailer that's going to be dropping on YouTube here later today or tomorrow that we showed earlier. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a great time. We will see you in a few weeks. Everyone, Abe, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks for watching.
Away.